Hello guys, Cyprien here from FEFO, and it's been a while that I haven't published a video, so sorry about that. It's summer now, very hot here, and we will talk about Docker today. So a lot of stuff to explain. Why am I talking about Docker and what is Docker? Well, that will be the topic of this video. And basically it's a very useful tool that you need to have in your toolbox, so I'm going to show you how to use it. And then we'll see how to use Docker to install OpenFoam on a Mac OS system. And then how you can run OpenFoam using all of this. So it's pretty cool, and you will see that using Docker you will be able to not only use OpenFoam but use Codeaster and use practically anything you want on any system. So it's a bit like a virtual machine, but not exactly the same. So that's what we'll talk in this video. So thank you for watching, and if you haven't subscribed yet to the channel, please click on subscribe button. Thank you very much. So let's start. So let's talk first about why we need Docker. So let's suppose that you're an engineer, maybe a simulation engineer, or someone who wants to create some small apps, maybe on the cloud, maybe not, maybe on your computer. But basically, you have to create some kind of system which is using a computer, and you have to develop something. And even if you don't plan to become a developer, you will see that the more you work on your project, the more it will become complex. So you will have a lot of parts moving in every direction, and you will end up with maybe something cool exactly like you want. So you developed an app, I don't know, which can do simulation in the browser, or which can do simply simulation using different solvers or stuff like this. It works for you, it works on your computer, but now you're starting to think, okay, it's cool that it works for me. How do I get other people to use it? And that's where it becomes a bit complicated, because if you're aware about open source, simulation, or about all, this kind of complex engineering tools, you know that it's never something that is independent of the system you are working on, and it always depends on a lot of other softwares which are prerequisites to use it. So if I give it an example, like if you want to install Codeaster, like a FEA solver on your computer, you'll see that you will need to have a bunch of prerequisites installed. It basically works well on Ubuntu, but if you want to use it on Mac OS or something, it will be difficult. And basically, it may work for you, but having someone else to install and use it just to run a few test cases, it becomes this huge, incredible, and difficult task. So one solution that is possible is to have a virtual machine. So if this is my computer, let's suppose that I have a virtual machine inside my computer, and it's a Ubuntu machine, and this virtual machine is like a computer inside my computer. So it's something that I've been using for a while, and I've been showing on my channel as well how to set up this kind of virtual machine environment, and this is actually pretty easy to set up and to understand how this works. You basically have a software called VirtualBox. So you install that, and then you can install any kind of system into it. You can install Ubuntu, and then you just have a computer inside a computer. So you enter this, and you install whatever you need in order to get your Codeaster solver working within the virtual machine, right? So, but there are some disadvantages to do like this, and the disadvantages is that it's a full virtual system OS. So it's really a computer within a computer, so it's heavy, and you need basically a lot of RAM on your first machine to have this virtual machine running. You will need a lot of hard drive space. And basically, yeah, it's heavy. It's it can be slow, especially for computation. You need to have power and speed. So it's not really always a good solution to do this. But the advantage is that you can do anything within this system because it's a real system, right? So you can install whatever you want inside this virtual machine. Now, there is a different solution, and this solution is to use Docker. So Docker is, it looks like a bit like a virtual machine, but it's not. Instead of having a full system OS, which is installed within your system, it's using something called containers. So it's so you can think about watertight containers, and each of this container contains a certain piece of software that is running. And basically what Docker does is that it uses a lot of components from your main operation system in order to run some kind of partial virtual machine using different kinds of containers. And it's not easy to understand how it works, but once you see a few examples and you see a bit how this is working, then you will understand. And this Docker is a very, very used tool right now in a lot of industries and by a lot of engineers. So it's really, really useful to understand how it works and how to do something with it. Now, the advantage of Docker is that it's kind of only parts of the system that are needed for a specific application. So it's light, and you can get only what is requested to run the application you want. So it's faster to install and set up, and it's generally, yeah, it's lighter, it's faster, and yeah, so it's a very cool tool. So you can think about it, for example, let's say that you have an app, a web app, and for those who don't know, if you want to run a web app on your computer, you will need a server, and you will need some kind of code, some kind of way to run the system. So it can be a web framework or something. So it can use Python, or it can be, I know, HTML, or PHP or anything. So you need a server which runs some codes, and you don't need the whole operation system. So why creating a full virtual machine just to have a small Python server running? Basically, you don't need a full virtual machine. So what you would do with Docker is just to create a container that will run the server for your site, and then it will copy the code of the web pages, and then it will run that within the container. So it will be very light, and it will do the job basically to run the server. So of course you could install this server on your main machine. You don't really need to have a virtual machine or a Docker. But again, this would make your app very dependent on your own system configuration and environment, and then it will be very difficult for other person to install it. But if you install it in Docker, you can just, it will be basically one text file to send to other people, and they can just use Docker and use this Docker file to generate exactly the same configuration. So it will be really, really easy for other people to just pull the Docker container and have directly your app running in seconds on their computer, rather than spending hours to try to set up the server and all those things. So that's really the advantage of using Docker. Okay, so I think I've talked a lot about this. Now you should be understanding more or less what is Docker and what is the difference with a virtual machine. So now I'll show you a bit an example about Docker, and we'll see how to run OpenFoam on my macOS system. Okay, so now we are on the Docker website. So you can get it from this address, docs.docker.com, get Docker. And installing Docker is very easy. So here I'm on my Mac, so we'll just click on this Docker desktop for Mac and install this. But as you see, you have a version for Windows and you have a version for Linux. Now, depending, Windows is a bit more tricky to set up, but it really depends on your system. I think, I don't know right now, but few years ago, it was only working on Windows Professional, so not Windows Home. Now I'm not sure about. Now, if you have Mac or Linux, there's no problem at all, and generally it can work also on Windows, but maybe on Windows Professional only. So, but that's a detail. So now you click on that, you install it, and then you have Docker. So it's really pretty easy to install. On your Mac or on another system, you'll have this interface. So this is called Docker Desktop. I think it's not available on Linux. So on Linux, you may have only the command line, but on Mac and Windows, this is pretty useful. And once you open this, you'll see that in the images, you will find all the Docker images that you have already downloaded from the web. You see that I have already OpenFoam and Codaster. So let's talk about how to download a new image and how to run it. So for that, let's go and look at the start tutorial in the Getting Started page. And what they tell you is that you just have to run this command line. So it's docker run, and then you have a few arguments for this. So the D means you run the container in detached mode, so in the background, so you don't have to keep your terminal prompt open. It will run it in the background. P is the port 8080, so it will open the port 80 of your container and give access to the port 80. So we'll see what this means. And this is the name of the container, Docker Getting Started. So we have to, so this is the name of the image. And so let's just copy that. Let's open the terminal prompt like this. Let's paste that in it. And if you have Docker installed, so it will tell you first that it couldn't find this image, Docker Getting Started, on your local machine. So because it couldn't find it, it will go online directly and download whatever is needed to pull this image from the cloud. And you just download all the containers that are required. And now it downloaded it and then it ran the image. So we don't see anything more here. So it looks, you don't know what happened. There's just this series of numbers. But if you go back in Docker Desktop, you see that I have now this image, Docker Getting Started, that is now in use. So it means that it has been downloaded and it has been started. Now, what does this image actually do? So we can go here and inspect to see a bit what is this image doing. And we see that there is an Nginx. So Nginx is a web server for PHP websites. So it's basically creating a web server and then running some kind of code on it. So because it's opening the port 80, what you can have access to this image by going here and entering localhost and port 80 like that. Enter. And now you see it looks like a web page, right? But this is actually an app which is running locally on your computer. So I could stop my internet access, my Wi-Fi, and it will still work because it's running within a web server that has been created by Docker. And it's so fast that you don't know actually what is happening, right? But this is an application that you could modify by yourself, and it gives you all the details here. So the command you just ran, Docker dashboard, what is a container. So I recommend you to watch all this. I don't have time here to really explain all this because Docker has a lot of stuff to know. So it's it's a bit the difference with the virtual machine. Virtual machine is heavy, Docker is light, but you have to learn about it. You have to learn how to use it, right? Let me show you how to install OpenFoam on this Mac using Docker. So you'll see that it's pretty easy. So if you search on Google for Docker Mac OS installation, you will find this link about how to install on Docker. And this basically tells you that you have to do two things to run OpenFoam. You have first to download the OpenFoam Docker run script. So I can open it here. So it's just a text file with all of this instat. So those are commands for Docker to read that will automatically install OpenFoam for you. So you download this file and then you run those commands. So this command chmod +x OpenFoam Docker will allow the script to be run on your computer. So it gives authorization to the script to run. This command lnsf OpenFoam Docker will create a symbolic link. So it's like a shortcut. So here I created a folder. I downloaded the script. So this is the script that I just show you in the browser. It's the same text script. Then I'm opening, not this one. I'm opening a terminal inside this folder. So you see that it's called OpenFoam Docker because I am located inside this folder. And then I just run those two functions, chmod OpenFoam Docker. So I already did that. I will not do it again, but this is giving access. Yeah, so you do the chmod command. Well, I can do it again. It's chmod command. Okay, run that. So it will give access to the script. And then I will create another symbolic link like that. And if you look at the folder, you see that now I have this link and I have the authorization to run the script. Once you've done this, you can verify that the script can be executed. So you can then run OpenFoam by just running this. So OpenFoam Docker and use help just to see if it runs or not. And if it runs, then you can see the help of OpenFoam. So that means OpenFoam is running. So for me, it's pretty fast because I've already downloaded the containers and everything. So in your case, it will take a bit more time to download the containers once you run the script. And you'll see that inside Docker, you will see this OpenFoam run container that will appear. Now to run OpenFoam, you can use this command, OpenFoam Docker run script, to run the OpenFoam. So this is the symbolic link you just created, and the number here is the version of OpenFoam you are running. So this is running the 2112 version of OpenFoam. You can also run it interactively or non-interactively. So what that means is that you can well, basically if you run it interactively, the prompt will open and you can enter some commands in it. If you run it non-interactively, it will just run OpenFoam just like this, and then when OpenFoam has finished to execute, it will close the prompt. Okay, so now let me show you that it works with OpenFoam. So for that, you have to download the OpenFoam test cases. So if you go on internet and you search for where are the test cases for OpenFoam 2000, well, you need to have the right version, right, for OpenFoam. And there is this repository on GitHub. So you click on files, basically, and you search for where is the repository for those files. and this is basically all the source files of OpenFoam. So if you know, there's a folder called tutorials, and here you have all the tutorials which are working for this specific version. So remember, OpenFoam, you can't run, another version with, well, there will be some difference. So you might have some problem if you try to run old OpenFoam cases with a different version and all of this. So this is, in the most basic tutorial, I think it's probably simple foam or something. There is so what I did is that I just found out tutorials, incompressible, simple foam, pits daily. Yeah, so that's it. So there is incompressible. So you can download everything, of course. Those are all the OpenFoam tutorials, or you can just download the simple foam pits daily, which is kind of the first tutorial, the easiest, and those are the files for it. So what I did is that I downloaded that locally on my computer, and now I can run OpenFoam using this Docker stuff. We can start OpenFoam using this command. So this is just the link, the symbolic link that so OpenFoam, like that, run, and you see that OpenFoam starts in kind of interactive mode, and then it's open the OpenFoam prompt. So now I can now launch OpenFoam. I am within my Docker container right now. Now I have to navigate to my test case, which is inside this OpenFoam master. Okay, cd OpenFoam master tutorial, and tutorials, and incompressible, simple foam, and pits daily. Okay, now if I do ls, you see that I'm basically inside this folder, and now I can run OpenFoam. So to run this test case, you have first to block mesh to mesh the test case, right? Block mesh, and you see that it started, it's created the poly mesh, and now I can run this by using the command simple foam. And now OpenForm starts, and it starts to compute, as you see. So this is pretty cool. So as you see, I'm running OpenForm from within the Docker container. And the thing is, we don't see that there is a Docker container and all of this behind. So there's a lot of abstraction to understand here. And that's a bit what is kind of tricky with Docker, is that really understanding how Docker works and what it does is a bit more complicated. So it will take you a bit of time to figure out what is a Docker container and how you can create your own Docker container and all of this. But there are many tutorials online that will help you to do this. But basically, if you just want to run OpenFoam from within Docker container, you don't have to do many things. Just install Docker and launch these few commands, download the script, run it, and it runs your OpenFoam on Mac. So you can do the same on Windows. You can run OpenFoam using this OpenFoam Docker. And now it's down. Now the computation is finished. So let's have a look at the results. Now there's the thing for people who have run OpenFoam. This way to run OpenFoam with Docker doesn't have the Parafoam. So if I do Parafoam, it tells me that it cannot, it's invalid something. So, and if you go back on this Docker page, there are some indication, frequently asked question about how you can post-process. Why doesn't Parafoam display, right? So here's the answer. We previously had a long answer about X Windows access, etc. And basically, it's the way to do this is you can use the built-in OpenFoam reader to convert foam to VTK, foam to VTK, I think it's the command. And you see now it's converting your results into VTK format that you should be able to open with Paraview. So open the results where they have been located, and you see you have a folder VTK that has been created. And now I can just click on one of those series of results, like this one, open, apply, and now you can see your results. So if I'm looking at velocity, for example, velocity results, and it works. I'm able to visualize my OpenFoam results within Paraview. Now, if you're on macOS like me and you have the new M1 Pro chip or something like this, make sure you download the latest version of Paraview, because I had some problems with the previous versions of Paraview were not always working. So, but after I installed and downloaded Paraview 5.10.1, it was working. So, you know, just download the latest version and it should be working. And that's it. That's how you run Paraview on a Mac using Docker, right? So I hope that this video was useful for you and interesting, and that you learn a bit about all of this. And you know, Docker is a pretty wide topic, so there's a lot of potential things to do and to think about. It's not only on OpenFoam, you can run any type of code. So you have also a Docker container for Codeaster. So you can just search online for what type of container you want. So search for Codeaster container, for example, if you want Codeaster. And the only thing you have to do is to pull the Codeaster container, run the container, and then this will run for you the code you need. So it's rather than, you know, toiling hours to find out how you install Codeaster on your local machine, just install Docker, and in, you know, a few lines of code you can have it running for you. So that's pretty useful. Now, if you have any questions, if there's something you want to know or something you don't understand, just let me know. I will be glad to explain more in details in another video. So thank you very much for watching, and thank you for your support, as always.